Growing up is hard. There's a lot of expectations that come with it. One of the worst ones for me personally was the stigma that you couldn't watch cartoons anymore. Fellas, is it immature to enjoy a medium? Personally, however, I never gave into that. Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon were my forever loves. But in 2001, Nickelodeon decided to appeal to a broader audience. Nick at Night was a programming block that existed ever since 1985, all the way to current day. Around 8 p.m., Nickelodeon would stop airing children's shows and instead run boring boomer programs your parents might like. But what about everyone else between the ages of 8 and 88? Well, on March 4th, 2001, Nickelodeon would introduce a brand new programming block aimed at teenagers, simply titled TeenNick.
New Sunday nights, every Sunday night, only on Nick.
Now, TeenNick was a creation of the 2000s. However, back in the 90s, there was SNICK, essentially acting as the same type of programming block, having more of a teen-centric audience on Saturday nights, serving the same exact purpose as TeenNick. It was essentially a bumper block between regular Nickelodeon and Nick at Night. I still don't fully understand the differences between SNICK and TeenNick, considering both would technically be running until SNICK was completely done with in 2005. So, in 2002, for example, you'd have both SNICK and TeenNick, I guess? I don't really know. I remember seeing commercials for both. But for the sake of this video, I'm gonna be talking about both SNICK and TeenNick programming, and just lumping it under the TeenNick umbrella. That's right, it's time to put those little babies to bed and let us 12-year-olds enjoy some Drake and Josh at 7 p.m. TeenNick initially only aired on Sunday nights before branching to Saturday nights as well, originally hosted by Nick Cannon. Who?
My nickname was Cupcake, okay? You an imposter!
As a kid, I genuinely thought Nickelodeon was based off of him. His name's Nick after all, what more evidence did I need? Besides, I didn't, and still don't really know what he does. TeenNick existed to appeal to the cool new 2000s skater teenager generation, focusing on airing live-action shows along with a few cartoons, all of which we'll be talking about in this video. However, there were plenty of original segments and bumpers, usually having Nick Cannon, who, interviewing celebrities, whether they be actors, musicians, or getting a more candid interview from a Nickelodeon star, someone I actually would have known. The host and formats of TeenNick bumpers would always change, sometimes just having a random guy talking to someone like Amanda Bynes.
So we're gonna have a burping contest against your movie co-stars Channing Tatum and Robert Hoffman!
Yeah, as you can see, TeenNick wasn't really that much more mature than regular Nickelodeon. Heck, don't tell anyone, but I actually watched TeenNick before I was an actual teenager. Please keep that between us. Clarissa explains it all. I'd honestly cite this show as like perfect TeenNick. Like, this was the perfect project Nickelodeon wanted under the TeenNick umbrella. We follow Clarissa trying to navigate the struggles of teen life. Everything from family, boys, school, and everything in between.
I'm not allowed to drive until I'm old enough to get my license. Parents are such sticklers for the law.
The show has an interesting setup. It's presented mainly in a sitcom format, but often Clarissa breaks the fourth wall to look at the camera to say things like, "You seeing this?" It helps build that wonderful parasocial relationship we all love to have with our on-screen stars.
Don't you realize that if I don't watch TV, I won't be able to keep up with the cultural level of my peers?
It helps us feel like the character is talking directly to us. It obviously works in a kid's show like Blue's Clues, but with Clarissa Explains It All, I'm surprised they managed to pull it off so well. Clarissa essentially acts as your teenage friend. Ideally, you're probably around her age when watching this, so when she talks to the viewer about her annoying parents, strict rules, or dumb kids at school, you relate to her. It feels like someone venting about the same problems you're most likely experiencing as well.
Even when I panic, it's cool panic. May I be excused to freak out?
Melissa Joan Hart once again kills this role. A great start to the TeenNick library. The Mystery Files of Shelby Woo. More like The Mystery Files of Shelby Who? I have never heard of this show my entire life. And after watching just one episode...
Well, that's just too bad. Because Jack Burton loves me. He needs me.
Oh my god, we are in for something special. The show follows Shelby Woo. She works as an intern at the police department solving minor miscellaneous crimes.
Do you need help with something?
Yes, I have 2 burglaries, an arsonist, and a kidnapped astronaut. But you know what I don't have? My lunch. Where's my lunch?
I don't really understand this show. There's a lot of amateur camera work that works in something like a found footage or a vlog. Like if Shelby Woo had her friends document her crime solving, it would make sense, but that's not the case. Oh, and the acting, mwah, God bless everyone in this show. You can tell they're trying to give their all and make this feel like a serious crime drama.
I asked you out and you said no.
Did I? Oh yeah, I remember now. I was so busy that year.
I thought you just didn't want to go out with me.
Also, one of the characters is played by Pat Morita, aka Mr. Miyagi. I don't know what the hell we just walked into. This is honestly a show I never would get into as a kid. Everything about this feels like a high school film project. Because of that though, there's plenty of unintentionally funny moments.
If I had taken that spacewalk, my picture would be on the cereal boxes and in the history books.
I don't think you'd get anything if you tried to watch this as a serious crime drama, but as an accidental comedy, oh yeah, you could binge this for hours.
Well, I can't find this drug that they say Jack used. Sulfatripnix?
Oh, well, there's your problem. The FDA only approved it recently.
What do you know about it?
The show went on for 4 seasons and had 41 episodes? What? The Mystery of Shelby Woo aired between 1996 and 1998. That's a lot of episodes in a 2-year time window. Although, now that I think about it, every episode looks like it was done with one take. There's moments where the actors kind of flub their lines or do an awkward motion, and they just go with it.
Oh no! What's the matter? I know what happened to Jack Griswold. I've got to stop that launch.
I guess they thought young teens just wouldn't notice or even care, which is totally fair. I know I've been kinda dogging on this show, but it is a really fun watch today. A look into the 90s live-action programming with a younger audience in mind. Clearly not caring about the end result, just having a product was good enough. Lots of laughs and lots of 90s charm. Viewer discretion is advised if you don't like spooks and scares. Okay, I know I'm kinda joking, but this intro genuinely was one of the most horrifying things when I was a kid. Are you afraid of the dark? Yes. The show's about a group of kids in this cult named the Midnight Society. From my understanding, it's just a bunch of kids who hang out at nighttime and tell ghost stories together. And if you want to be a part of it, new recruits need to tell scary stories that spook the society. If your story is scary enough, you're in. If it's not though, they beat you with a paddle oar and send your limp body down the river, never to be seen again. Now, if you thought the acting was something else in Shelby Woo, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh man. This is awesome.
Because Canada never disappoints with their child and teen actors. This show is very much just goosebumps. A bunch of scary tales that usually have surprising levels of gruesome death. Like, just because you don't show blood doesn't mean it's any less horrifying.
No! You got the wrong guy! To the water!
I can't remember any episodes off the top of my head since I was more of a Goosebumps kid. But we'll check out one random episode. Let's see, The Misfortune Cookie. This one follows a kid who works at a restaurant with his family. Ah yes, the child labor laws that cease to exist once you enter the realm of Chinese takeout. He's overworked and just wants to hang out and take a break. His parents say no, so his grandpa gives him a magic fortune cookie that lets him grant whatever wish he wants. He wishes to be free from his family so he can pursue his comic book career. Huh. Yeah, this might be the scariest thing in the whole episode. Anyway, the wish comes true and he wakes up with his family not knowing who he is. Complete with a samurai monster. The episode, of course, ends with him wanting to be with his family, and I guess the moral of the story is never complain, or else the evil fortune cookie will sick a samurai monster to kill you.
So, what does your fortune say?
I live in Smethwick, Birmingham, if you want the fucking brawl.
I mean, look, there's definitely been some scarier episodes, and the show is always a great time to have on in the background during Halloween. Apparently it got a reboot in 2019. I vaguely remember hearing about it and decided to check it out for this video. And it's pretty damn good. Like, there's actually scary, intense scenes. I mean, for a kid's show, it's amazing. I guess mainly because children's horror stopped really being a genre that existed in the mainstream. The overacting still exists, but it's nowhere near as comedic. The show had such an impact that being able to have a reboot made 20 years later is super impressive. Saturday Night Live is a great concept. It's a shame they stole it from Nickelodeon, true story. All That was a sketch comedy show starring a lot of up-and-coming child stars, including the likes of Kenan Thompson, Kel Mitchell, and Amanda Bynes, just to name a few. Coming back to this show, I thought I really wouldn't find any of it funny since I just assumed I liked it back in the day because I was a dumb kid. But no, a lot of these skits still kinda held up.
We gotta figure out a way to get out of here.
Look over there.
A saw!
All we gotta do is get the saw and then use it to try to cut through the bars.
It's all about you,
You got the juice.
Come on, Larry.
It's not comedy gold or anything. Like Kenan playing a character named Pierre Escargot and sitting in a bathtub with a bad French accent isn't high art.
Merci beaucoup, merci beaucoup, pardon l'été de chouin unse.
Like, you can tell Kenan is seeing those French words for the first time while reading the teleprompter and is just struggling to string any sounds together. Ask Ashley was another good skit, having the sweet and adorable Amanda Bynes read out fan questions, only to be answered in the most angry and insulting way.
I mean, what kind of beverage-drinking weirdo pours scalding hot liquid into his bare, stinking hands?
A lot of Dan Schneider shows rely on LOL random humor, but hey, it worked for the time. One of the best skits, obviously though, had to be Good Burger. Kel Mitchell playing a dumb but good-hearted fast food worker who constantly messes up everything.
Hey! How about some food?
Oh, no thanks, dude. I'm not hungry.
It's great, and is honestly my average experience going to a Burger King.
Oh man, I've just been in a terrible car accident. Help me! Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger.
Hell, it was so good they actually made a movie about it, joining the ranks of the Blues Brothers and Wayne's World in terms of TV sketches turned into beloved movies. All that was fantastic. Just like SNL, a lot of the big names would slowly leave and get their own shows, bringing on new faces, including the likes of Jamie Lynn Spears. This was a pretty big deal. Britney Spears dominated the 2000s, so getting her little sister on a show meant eyes were definitely gonna be on it. All That would see a short revival in 2019, only having 8 episodes and seemingly being cancelled. Regardless, the show was a massive success, producing big-name stars that are still in the industry today. Despite being Saturday Night Live for kids, they took it seriously and definitely made an impact. Alright, here's another show I've never heard of in my entire life. The Secret World of Alex Mack. Searching the show up on YouTube comes up with not a lot, which is great for me. I'm gonna read you the Wikipedia entry describing the premise of this show, because it sounds wild. Alex Mack is an ordinary teenage girl, living with her parents and older sister in the corporate town of Paradise Valley. After her first day of junior high school, while walking home, Alex is nearly hit by a truck from a chemical plant, and during the incident, she is drenched with a top-secret chemical, granting her superpowers. Again, unfortunately, I can't find any way to watch this show, since the few clips I were able to find, well...
You know, Robin, just made me realize something. I had a band until yesterday.
But from what I can see visually, the show has strong Mystery of Shelby Woo vibes, probably not the greatest acting or story being told, but again, I can't really judge it. Although I probably would have loved the show as a kid, since Alex Mack herself is a cool backwards hat, flannel-wearing outcast girl. This was all the rage in the 90s. Just skipping around though, it looks like there's a lot of talking and adult teenage drama, with not enough superhero stuff. Here goes! From the creative mind and feet of Dan Schneider was one of his first of many, many successful sitcoms on Nickelodeon, Kenan and Kel, starring Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell respectively.
Now you paid $1 for this TV, correct? Well, I am willing to give you $2 for the TV you paid $1 unbelievable!
The show had a simple concept, following two best friends, Keenan, the straight man, getting into all kinds of schemes and shenanigans, with his best buddy Kel, the lovable idiot just along for the ride. Dan Schneider, being the weirdo he is, really did know how to create an engaging sitcom for a younger audience. A lot of the groundwork Keenan and Kel laid down would be the foundation for another Nickelodeon sitcom we'll be talking about later. Again, a lot of the humor in these shows revolve around randomness, and there's definitely a good bit of that here. Keenan is obviously a super talented actor, even back in these days, and being a mainstay on Saturday Night Live over 20 years later. That being said, Kel was definitely the highlight. He brought so much energy to this show. He was going all out with his frantic body movements and constant high energy performances.
Oh, the humanity!
Usually I say things like, this show had a lot of heart, but it really didn't. Most episodes had Keenan and Kel getting into trouble, coming up with schemes to get rich or popular, always ending with it backfiring on the boys, needing to pay the price. Have I even mentioned the absolute banger that is the Keenan and Kel theme song?
Everybody out there go run and tell your homeboys and homegirls it's time for Keenan and Kel.
I can't play the whole thing, but have a listen for yourself and enjoy. This ain't the Hardy Boys or a Nancy Drew mystery, it's just Keenan and Kel in your vicinity, like, it's good, it's great. Keenan and Kel were like the ultimate duo for kids in the 90s. They clearly had great chemistry from their days on All That. Without Keenan and Kel, I genuinely don't think we'd have any of the beloved sitcoms we've loved throughout the years. At least ones in this format, the filmed in front of a live studio audience type. The show ran for 4 seasons with 62 episodes, even complete with a TV movie to act as a finale. These two are almost anonymous with each other, even to this day. Hell, they even had a Good Burger skit on Jimmy Fallon. Yes, the Everything is Funny man. And I haven't even mentioned Good Burger 2 that came out in 2023. The impact these two had together will go down in history. Here's a show that nobody ever seems to remember when I bring it up. 100 Deeds for Eddie McDowd. The show follows a bully named Eddie who was turned into a dog after messing with a homeless shaman. Just roll with it, and is told he won't be able to turn back into a human until he's done 100 good deeds. And the only people who can understand him are the shaman and the main kid he's been bullying.
Why isn't anyone else freaking out here? This dog's a miracle.
The only miracle about that dog is I haven't put him down yet.
What? Yeah, this show was something else. It's crazy what you could get away with back in the day. Eddie himself is voiced by the man, the myth, the legend, Seth Green.
Ooh, I remember you, cutie.
Yeah, Chris Griffin, or Scott Evil, depending on your 2000s reference. It's once again another charming remnant of the 2000s. Like, clearly they didn't have the budget to have a consistently trained dog do stunts for multiple hours and multiple days, since this is an ongoing TV show. So they do things like put a poorly rendered animated mouth over the dog to simulate talking, which yes, is very noticeable and bad. And whenever there's a chase scene, they do a POV shot with the camera running at a low angle. It's great, I unironically love this. The writing also feels very sharp, and it's usually the kids who have the best lines.
What if I told you that I know where Eddie is and that he's a dog?
I'd say that you're dangerously weird and you're in need of immediate medical attention.
This show, look here I go, has a lot of heart. Every episode has Eddie doing one good deed by the end. For example, the kid, named Justin, asks Eddie what to do about a bully. Eddie saying, just stand up for yourself and he'll be so intimidated he backs down. Justin tries this and gets shoved into a locker. But he still gets a little bit of respect from his peers for doing what he did. He has a heartwarming talk with Eddie thanking him, with Eddie not sure why Justin is excited and happy, saying that Justin is at least on the right track to not being a pushover. Unbeknownst to Eddie though, this was a good deed that didn't go unnoticed by the shaman. Eddie tries to do cheap good deeds to cross them off as easily as possible, but he actually does grow as a person. Or dog. 100 Deeds went on for 3 seasons with a total of 40 episodes. Yeah, that's right. To this day, Eddie is still a dog needing to do 60 more good deeds. One of these streaming services needs to revive the show and give Eddie his sweet release. Caitlin's Way. Yeah, who the hell is Caitlin and why do I care what way she's going? Well, this is Caitlin. She's a troubled girl who lives in Philadelphia. Born and raised. She got into one little fight with the law and her mom got scared and said, "Go to Montana." Thus, here we are. Following a young girl from the big city with an attitude, hoping a life in the mountains and nature will put her back on the right track. Honestly, it's not for me. It reeks of generic 90s teen drama stink. There's nothing new or interesting here. Think about any plot point that's gonna happen, and they probably do it. Caitlin learning to like horses and nature. Using her big city toughness to intimidate country bullies. Like, it's all here! The promos and pictures show her on a horse being a cowgirl, so I'm sure that's how the show ends. Meh. It's alright, I guess. How this show also got 40 episodes is beyond me. Holy, this show awoke a sleeper agent in me like the Winter Soldier. I totally forgot about Cousin Skeeter. Seeing this intro just hit me like a truck watching it at my grandparents' house on a Sunday night. So the show follows Skeeter moving into his cousin's house when his parents think he'll be a good influence on their son. But it turns out Skeeter is actually an annoying little dickhead, constantly getting into trouble and stirring things up.
This is my cousin Skeeter.
Hi. Quick, somebody call heaven. There's an angel loose here.
Also, hey, it's the dad from Corey in the house. I love that nobody acknowledges the fact that Skeeter is a puppet. It's not like a plot point or anything. It's just Cousin Skeeter the puppet.
I'm about to go Hong Kong Phooey on you.
I'm not sure if it's genius or stupid. Especially since Skeeter acts like a total cartoon character in this real world. The humans will be dealing with typical sitcom drama, and Skeeter will just show up to make a scene.
I wanna rock right now. I wanna rock right now. What's up? I'm Skeeter.
I don't really have much else to say about the show. It's honestly just any sitcom you've ever seen, but now there's a puppet. This was actually my first introduction to like black sitcoms, that's the actual term I guess, and it was interesting seeing families and characters not talk about things like fishing and talking like they were from the 30s. So thank you, Cousin Skeeter, for ending racism. The Brothers Garcia. Please excuse the Russian subtitles, these are the only copies of the show I could find online. What we have here is a good old sitcom about your average Latin family living in America. I mean, that's it really. It's not zany or weird, none of the characters are over the top or stereotypes. I never watched this as a kid because even back then it just looked like a good old family sitcom that I wasn't into. I know there's gotta be plenty of families who grew up with this show, so it's nice to see Nickelodeon giving some representation like this. It's not just 30 minutes of George Lopez being like, Taina. Now what the hell is this? Okay, this is a sitcom following a high school student named Taina, who aspires to be a famous singer and actress. It's fine. I watched a few episodes and it happened.
I got your back! Yeah, way back.
Plays it safe. Young girl wants to be famous kind of stories. It's not too bad. The Amanda Show.
What time do you want us to tear down your house?
Tear down my house!
Amanda Bynes was easily the queen of TV in the early 2000s, in my opinion. She was super talented, funny, and naturally I had a huge crush on her. Just like all that, I'm not sure if The Amanda Show was stupid or pure genius.
Hey, you know, I love chili on a weenie. You got chili?
No, but we have dog food.
I don't really know how to tackle this show without simply talking about the best bits and gushing about them. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Block Bleaster! Amanda and friends play a family from a vague foreign country who own a video rental store. People come by to rent movies, but what they get instead are poorly acted bootleg home movies. The bit is always the same. It's like, hey, I just rented Austin Powers. And they're like, no, you don't want Austin Powers, you want Austin Flowers. And then it's just Drake Bell playing with flowers while staring at the camera.
Fragadelic. Or behave.
It's the same thing every time. And it's funny every time. Then there was Judge Trudy, which was a parody of Judge Judy, a mock court show where kids sue adults in their lives for making them do things like homework and chores? Ugh, the death penalty it is. Bring in the dancing lobsters. There was The Girls' Room, a show that took place in the women's bathroom, created by Dan Schneider. Totally Kyle, a short segment where Kyle would ramble on about nothing while being a total stoner.
And it was like the best double cheeseburger I ever had, ever. A week later, I threw up.
Then you got Pony Pajamas.
Pajamas!
He don't like him mispronounced!
Where two little actors named Drake Bell and Josh Peck would play fake gangsters.
What's that
For being an idiot!
And of course, who could forget all of those mock commercials for fake products? Everything from a giant spitball machine, a suit made out of popcorn, which is honestly genius and I still want that, an eBay parody where you could sell your gross school lunch, and America's favorite breakfast cereal, Meatloaf Crunch. The bits were all so chaotic and random, but the reason they all had mileage and still kinda hold up today is because of Amanda Bynes. She was only 15 when the Amanda Show was airing, and she had to play all kinds of different characters.
But Penelope, we were just about to kiss?
Not during the Amanda Show, please!
Penelope Taint. Yes, for real. Amanda's #1 fan, please. As a kid, I was so stupid, I never realized that that was Amanda. She was always hawking her website, amandaplease.com, which was an actual website you could go to and had the same layout and functions that was on the show. Dude, loading up amandaplease.com with your janky 2001 dial-up internet is one of the most nostalgic things I've ever done. But one of the most genius skits that I never understood as a kid was Moody's Point. This was a fake drama that purposefully played into all of the cheesy and predictable tropes of the 90s.
Why are you painting your locker black?
Why aren't I?
Carry on.
And I never knew that. Low-key, whenever Moody's Point was on, I didn't want to watch it. I thought, why is there a stupid romance drama in the middle of the Amanda Show? But when I got older and decided to rewatch it, it all clicked.
Sternum, is anything wrong?
Is anything right?
As I mentioned earlier, the show is a parody, but one done well. There's a surprising amount of subtlety and nuance to the show. Everyone brings in a serious performance. The writing and camera work are all superb and feels like a real project.
What kind of girl do you think I am?
What kind of girl are you?
And the jokes, while sure, sometimes are in your face because it is still a kid's show after all, more so than not, the parody is pretty subtle and clever.
What smells like beef?
Lozenge. You like?
The Amanda Show ran for 3 seasons with a total of 46 episodes. As mentioned earlier, Amanda Bynes would leave Nickelodeon to have a fairly successful movie career in Hollywood, with movies like Big Fat Liar, What a Girl Wants, She's the Man, and Easy A, just to name a few. Unfortunately, as years went on, Amanda would fall on difficult times, which is the unfortunate fate of many child actors. Luckily though, to end this on a high note, Amanda seems to be doing better now and actually started a podcast that I'd love to be on, please, 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 please. The Amanda Show was peak early 2000s Nickelodeon, and Amanda Bynes is such an amazing actor who deserves the world. Truly someone who defined and dominated the 2000s. Now we're moving on to someone who didn't define anything. Who the hell is Nick Cannon?
Tell you, man, we fixed the ozone layer, cured world hunger all in one episode, man.
Well, apparently Nick Cannon was on all that. I don't recall a single sketch with him in it. And after watching a few episodes of The Nick Cannon Show, I still don't know who he is.
Oh, we gained some weight because them legs was skinny and nasty.
The Nick Cannon Show, similar to The Amanda Show, was an attempt to find that breakout single star to the big Nickelodeon bubble. From what I can gather, the show follows Nick Cannon getting into all kinds of normal miscellaneous scenarios and being wacky. For example, there's an episode where Nick wears a dress and does a bunch of girl things, like cheerleading and modeling.
Hey, my name LaTanya. Hey, and I look good.
This is the whole episode. It's not even remotely funny. The show is like half documentary and half scripted bits. There's fake interviews from girls just being like, yeah, this sure was weird. But later we'll have Mr. Nickelodeon on the red carpet interviewing celebrities, but dressed as a girl. I think Nick Cannon just wanted to wear a dress. The main problem is that, bless his heart, the man just isn't a good enough on-screen personality to carry an entire show. He's a great host and interviewer, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he isn't talented, but as the main character, especially on a children's show, there's a certain level of charisma and charm you need to have. And the Nick Cannon show just dragged on, never once even being kinda funny. But hey, he married Mariah Carey, so what do I know? Hey yo, it's Lil Romeo! In the 2000s, this kid was the flyest, most popular thing for some reason. Romeo Miller, aka Lil Romeo, is the son of famous rapper Master P, so naturally his son would follow in his dad's footsteps, making music and TV shows on Nickelodeon. Lil Romeo's music career sure was fascinating, doing a collab song with Nick Cannon, god damn it, I can't escape this man! Anyway, the show follows Romeo getting into all kinds of wacky adventures with his little white boyfriend Louis. It's okay, I can say that, I'm friends with white people. I know I've done nothing but make jokes so far, but Romeo is actually a really solid show. The premise has him being an aspiring rapper, so he's more relatable. Romeo plays a really solid, humble character, just trying to find his way in life, being a talented rapper, but unfortunately also only being 12 years old, having people take advantage of his talents or bullying him since, again, he's 12. The one episode I always remembered seeing as a kid had Romeo and Louis fall for a scam where they send a fake radio DJ $100 in exchange for playing one of their songs on the radio. They find out he's deathly afraid of cockroaches, and when he doesn't refund the money, they literally glue him to the table and unleash a shoebox worth of cockroaches in his office. It's actually so disgusting. Also, you know how in Johnny Test, the stupid whip sound effect is used every 3 seconds? Well, Romeo has its own version of that, this time being a record scratch noise. Apart from that, Romeo was actually a really solid addition to the Nickelodeon sitcom library, surprisingly not having that live studio audience set up and instead making some more down-to-earth and with tons of heart.
Is it easy for a chicken to lay eggs? Yeah, but I'm not a chicken. Then quit acting like one. Get your game face on, boy.
Yeah, that counts as heart, right? Oh, hug me, brother! It's Drake and Josh.
If Mom and Dad ask about the TV, you don't know what happened.
But that's not the truth.
Which is why they call it lying.
I think we might be peaking early. Drake and Josh is a sitcom following two brothers named Drake and Josh, played by Drake and Josh respectively. Drake Bell and Josh Peck were supporting actors on The Amanda Show. As I mentioned earlier, they had great chemistry whenever bits would involve them. The one in particular that won over Dan Schneider was the really big shrimp bit. And just like that, Dan knew he had more magic. I don't want to go too in-depth with Drake and Josh right now, since this is something that would require a massive video in and of itself. But I'll still gladly yap on. We follow two high school kids, Drake Parker, the cool guitar-playing ladies' man, and Josh Nichols, the unpopular and dorky boob. Their parents got married, and now these two polar opposites are stepbrothers.
Josh, you home yet? Drake, what's wrong? You alright? Did something happen to Oprah?
Now I know I've mentioned how some of these Nickelodeon shows don't really hold up, or maybe how some of them just have some moments. Well, I'm proud to report that everything about Drake and Josh still holds up and is as funny as you remember.
Hey Josh, where do you want the dead guy? Just put it anywhere.
One of my favorite episodes is The Bet, with Drake being addicted to eating junk food and Josh playing video games. So they have a bet with who can go longer without doing their respective addictions, and chaos immediately ensues. with Drake developing a skin condition because his body became too dependent on junk food, and Josh spiraling into craziness when his Grammy got him the Game Sphere.
It's spherical! Spherical!
They then try to get the others to cave, complete with an entire Willy Wonka setup in the bedroom and a chocolate cup. It's just non-stop escalation after escalation, ending with them needing to dye their hair pink for both losing. Every episode follows a similar formula, whether it be Drake and Josh renting out their house as an Airbnb to a couple while their parents are away, only to end with it turning into a massive house party that ends up on MTV, Drake and Josh competing to sell the most Gary Coleman grills, only for Gary Coleman himself to show up and say the grills were stolen and illegal. It's all so insane and fun.
Can't. Says here they're only available in South America.
South America!
One of the show's more prominent locations is the premiere, the movie theater Josh works at. So many iconic moments have happened here, and I always wanted to go. I wish movie theaters were real. I know you probably want to bash your head against the wall if you hear me say, this show has heart one more time, but I really don't know how else to put it. No matter what happened in each of these episodes, Drake and Josh would always be there for each other. There's plenty of times Drake made a fool of himself or sacrificed his own happiness to look out for Josh.
Hug me, brother?
Not here, man. There's people.
Quick one?
Josh easily had all the humor though. Every time this man opened his mouth, something hilarious would come out of it.
Hello, s'mores. Hello, pain.
What else haven't I gushed about yet? Oh, the theme song. How is it taking me this long to not mention America's greatest theme song? This should be the new national anthem.
It's gonna take some time to realize.
Written and performed by Drake Bell, it's no surprise he's a massive star today. In Mexico.
Gracias, mi hermano.
And that's barely scratching the surface of this show. There were 57 episodes and they were all so memorable. There's not one episode that I consider bad or skippable. And that's not even to mention all the amazing side characters like Megan, Helen, Crazy Steve, Mindy, Craig and Eric. The freaking amazing TV movies. Duh. There's too much to mention in this video in particular. I really gotta do a dedicated Drake and Josh video in the future. For now though, Drake and Josh still has a lasting impact all these years later. It was such a massive success that these two are synonymous with each other even to this day. What more can I say? It's an amazing show. In a middle school full of bullies, insane teachers, and gross school lunches, Ned Bigby, that's him, and his two best friends try to do the impossible. Create a guide that'll help you survive school. Hey, that just made my job a whole lot easier. Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. Every episode tackles a certain subject that middle school kids would be dealing with. Lockers, bullies, puberty, detention, the list goes on. There's 55 episodes, with each having 2 segments, rounding up to a total of over 100 different topics.
No class is ever full, and to get in, all you need is teacher approval and a decent speech.
Our main character is Ned, your average mop-headed flannel-wearing teen just trying to survive school, with his 2 friends, Cookie the tech nerd, and Mose, his athletic best friend since childhood, who just happens to be a girl, but they're just friends, I promise. When this show came out, I was still in elementary school, and I'll be honest, I was terrified of middle school, specifically because of this show. I saw all the bullies and annoying things that come with the transition from elementary to middle school, and thought this guide was genuinely going to be helpful.
Sit close to the doors for fast getaways. You'll be the first out, and you'll avoid the frustrating post-bell door jam.
I mean, don't get me wrong, some of the tips are just basic guidelines like, don't be afraid to ask the teacher for extra help, or just try your best. But for the most part, the show's enjoyment does come from watching Ned and his friends trying to navigate teen life. The episodes are totally off the wall insane, but that's part of the show's charm. Middle school is objectively the worst time in everyone's life, and all the situations and exaggerations of characters kind of perfectly exemplifies what middle school feels like at that age. It's such a new time in your life and it hits you like a train. Thanks to puberty, bullies are bigger and meaner than before. The pressure and responsibilities that are placed on you go through the roof. It's no longer about pizza parties and recess. Now you've got multiple classes with tons of homework, loads of textbooks to carry around, and puberty is once again going to smack the taste out of your mouth. And smack dab in the middle of it all are 3 regular kids trying to navigate it.
It's okay. You can cry. Okay. You can stop now.
Ned's Declassified was episodic, meaning technically you could watch these episodes out of order and still follow what's going on. But there were recurring plot points that were present in each episode, usually relating to what characters are currently dating. The Ned and Mo's romance arc is unironically the most beautiful story ever told in television. A slow burn that was never truly hinted at or even alluded to. But as the season goes on and the actors actually growing up and maturing, seeing these 2 characters realize they actually have a crush on each other is genuinely so heartwarming. Devin Werkheiser and Lindsay Shaw also actually dated in real life during the show's run. And they really liked each other.
Do you remember the first
what?
BJ?
Oh goodness.
Wow.
Dude,
Yeah,
I can't believe...
We got busy in quite a few places.
Anyway, yeah, I don't have much else to say. This is another show that I really want to do a dedicated video on, so for now, we'll just end it with middle school sucks. Don't worry, if you're there now, it'll get better. You ever think to yourself, God, I wish Moody's Point was real? Well, Zoe 101 is about as close as we ever got. In this show, we follow Zoe going to a private school named PCA and shenanigans.
Get up! This ain't the nap shack!
No, just leave me here to die, Chase. Tell my parents I loved them.
It's a sitcom with a very different feel from most of Dan Schneider's shows. Firstly, there's no laugh track, meaning there's no awkward pauses for the audience to laugh or go, ooh. So the show often feels less like a sitcom and more like a serious drama.
We got sprayed by a skunk.
So we've been drinking tomato juice for the past 2 hours.
You're supposed to bathe in tomato juice to get rid of the skunk smell, not drink it.
I mean, as much as a Nickelodeon show can be. Like, sure, this being a Dan Schneider production, there's plenty of weird characters, zany plots, and feet, but for the most part, Zoe 101 feels like a genuine attempt at a teen drama.
The bowl's right there.
Ha! I put it in my pocket without moving the cup. Now give me that watch.
That's cheating.
I mean, I'll be honest, I ain't got much else to say. The big thing is the love story between Zoe and Chase, but I feel like the best friends turned BF and GF storyline was done way better in Ned's Declassified.
If she doesn't care about me, then why should I care about saying goodbye to her? Zoe cared about your opinion the most. She said Chase's opinion means everything to me.
What else? Jamie Lynn Spears. Heard she's not the greatest person out there. Alexa Nicholas, who played Nicole, has gone on record on many occasions saying how she was mistreated and bullied by the other girls, and even Dan Schneider himself, which, yeah, unfortunately doesn't surprise me. I don't know, like, the show is fine, honestly. It was never my favorite, especially when compared to Drake and Josh and Ned's Declassified, but yeah, I know a lot of people like it, and I'm glad for them. And who do we have to thank for this show's existence? That's right, Britney Spears. Without her having a sister, Nickelodeon probably never would have cared about this. So, thanks, Britney. Alright, let's take a break from all these dumb human shows and talk about something real mature. Cartoons! Yeah, TeenNick wasn't just a place to see live-action shows. There were plenty of mature cartoons that would also air. Shows like My Life as a Teenage Robot, Rugrats All Grown Up, As Told by Ginger, Invader Zim. Alright, I got no puns for those last 2, but whatever. Yeah, these cartoons all primarily dealt with teenage characters dealing with some teenage problems. I mean, hey, what's more relatable than a robot girl going through robot puberty while needing to fight the evil cockroach queen? It's practically a rite of passage into adulthood.
Excuse me, we're talking about an evil robot cyborg, not Jenny.
The cartoons were basically split into 2 categories. Shows like My Life as a Teenage Robot and Invader Zim focused more on silly plots that younger kids could also get into, myself included.
I can't, it's invisible. But you can see me? That's what I said. Oh, that's stupid!
But if you wanted something more down to earth and ugly in a complimentary way. Then As Told by Ginger and All Grown Up followed similar plots, just teenage kids dealing with normal problems. I wasn't a fan of Ginger, but as a kid, I loved the Rugrats and genuinely tried to find the same love with All Grown Up, but just couldn't. Like, even as a tween, I still didn't care about the things like Phil and Lil wanting their own identities and spaces, or Chucky needing to find confidence. Man, so many of these episodes centered around Chucky since he was the most awkward and fun to write plots for. Tommy was weird. Despite being the main character in the Rugrats, he didn't really get any love here. He was just a boring film fanatic, although there were some great moments.
What's wrong, Chucky? I never seen you like this. He's kind of attractive.
These cartoons were a pretty good maturity barometer, I guess, since even though I was kind of the target audience for more chill slice of life shows, I still preferred the silly cartoons.
Yeah! High five!
Regardless of the show, it was nice seeing cartoons get some love, showing everyone that, hey, it was still cool to enjoy some cartoons.
Day after day, it's unfabulous.
Unfabulous was kind of the black sheep of the mid-2000s Nickelodeon sitcom lineup. We follow an unpopular girl named Addie Singer. She is a singer.
Nobody likes nobody exactly the same. Jane likes Johnny, but Johnny, he don't like Jane.
To be fair, there weren't a lot of shows at the time following a weird and outcast girl as the main character. She's played by Emma Roberts and does a great job. Personally though, I just never cared for this show. It wasn't as funny as Drake and Josh or as drama-filled as Zoe 101.
Addie Singer, I graciously accept your invitation to the movies on Friday night.
This is morning announcements, not the teen chat line at Party Phone USA.
We follow Addie and her friends trying to navigate middle school life, a concept we've already seen in this video alone about 100 times by now. But to be fair, since this isn't a Dan Schneider production, there's a bit more realness to it. Like, even in Zoe 101, there were plenty of random moments and characters speaking like, well, not humans. But Unfabulous has a rawness to it. None of the characters are over the top. This feels like we're watching real middle school kids deal with real everyday problems. Emma Roberts is definitely the highlight. She's obviously really talented even at this young age, and is super likable. She's a loser just trying to make it through school. She's normal, quiet, minds her own business, but is pretty awkward, like most people at that age, making her super relatable. That's about it, honestly. Wasn't really for me, but I love Emma Roberts too much to say anything really bad. Oh my good lord, I forgot all about this! The Naked Brothers Band, probably could have gone with a different name, was a sitcom about two brothers and their friends who are in a band. The actual brothers being Nat and Alex Wolf, both of which actually having fairly successful careers after Nickelodeon. Now, I loved this show back in the day. It's a typical sitcom where the characters get into random scenarios, usually having a song play by the end.
And now I miss you so. You're my only love. Well, that's basically it.
Now, upon rewatching this show, I can see why I liked it. It's clear that the boys aren't professional actors yet, considering they haven't even hit puberty, but because of that, they come off as super genuine and real.
Yeah, but you gotta make more red, white, and blue stuff. For me, it's my color. I invented it.
You invented red, white, and blue?
Yeah, I'm famous for it.
Especially since their dad in the show is their real-life dad, musician Michael Wolf. So there's naturally chemistry they all obviously have.
The point is, he's the younger brother and the cooler brother. Sound familiar?
They don't feel like artificial characters trying to be liked. They're just really talented and likable kids.
Yeah, compliment the movie. We gotta exaggerate. We have to exaggerate?
Yeah.
Well, we're not gonna exaggerate, because that's lies!
They got their band name from when they were little. Apparently one day they came out of their bathtub and proclaimed to their dad, "We're the Naked Brothers Band!" And that's all it took. Just like Unfabulous, I guess I never realized how low production and indie some of these sitcoms felt.
Sorry. We'll be good. Yeah. We'll be good. Better not eat me, Godzilla.
Too late, race bed.
But in both shows' cases, the low budget adds to the quality. With the Naked Brothers Band being about musicians, having that indie vibe feels like we're watching a documentary of sorts. This was also, I think, Nickelodeon's first real created-in-a-lab music group, similar to Big Time Rush. So, more important than the show's quality was the music. I mean, if the music sucks, nobody's gonna want to watch a TV show about them. You know what? For a kid in the 2000s, this was absolutely perfect. The music was kind of pop rock at times, but had its fair share of slower and heartfelt music. In the show, Nat Wolff had a crush on the band's bassist Rosalina, and they wrote so many songs of him crushing on her.
It's just a song! It's not like she's my really never-ending love.
The song Beautiful Eyes never left my brain for some reason. It's genuinely nice.
Beautiful eyes in disguise.
The brothers are still close and even still making music to this day. It's clearly a passion for them, and it's nice seeing kids who were under the Nickelodeon umbrella make it through to the other side, happy and healthy. This is Just for Kicks? You silly rabbit, kicks are for tricks, huh? Alright, so I have never seen or heard of this in my entire life. I have never watched this show until right now. And
Like you've never dropped anything before other than a class you were failing.
Please refrain from insulting my friend like that.
it sucks. Okay, I mean, maybe that's a bit mean, but I don't care. It's a drama about a girls' soccer team. I don't care about soccer, and I don't care about this. Although I will give it credit. Sometimes the acting is so bad and over the top, it's like a throwback to the 90s. It's at least worth checking out for a laugh with some friends.
Vita Atwood, U13 leading scorer and MVP.
That's me.
It's that. What you just saw is the entire show. It ran for one season with 13 episodes. So if this appeals to you, then go nuts. Mr. Meaty.
All God's creatures, fresh off the grill. So come on down, Mr. Meaty, where friends meet.
The show follows two teenage slackers. Josh, who's the cool one.
Maybe we should go to a movie or maybe to the park to do stuff or whatever, you know, maybe tomorrow or something.
And Parker, the fat dork.
I am not snacking!
The two work at Mr. Meaty and, as you can guess, get into all kinds of weird, supernatural, and sometimes gross shenanigans.
Now, many of you may be surprised to hear that mayonnaise needs massaging, and, well, it does. Isn't that right, employee Dinkelman?
Now look, a lot of people give this show a bad reputation. I mean, yeah, it's obviously very unsettling sometimes, but I actually remember watching this live on TV as it was airing, and I remember kinda liking it. The show was aimed at teenagers. An executive producer on the show is actually quoted with saying, "Entertaining kids in their teens is not easy, and it takes a very strong concept to catch on with this demographic. Mike Judge clearly nailed it with Beavis and Butthead, and we believe that Mr. Meaty will do the same."
The worm!
It did not. Being a children's show, I think kind of limited the stories and dialogue potential to have teenagers truly like it. Rick and Morty is, and I'm sorry to use a Rick and Morty comparison, but Rick and Morty is a fun science cartoon that could work as a children's show, but the fact that they can use raunchy terms and edgy situations is really what appeals to a teenager. Mr. Meaty can kind of do that, like having a goth GF who's into weird things.
And it's very slippery, okay? So just get... See, I told you it was very slippery in here.
Whoa. That is painful.
Goth girls are so weird. I love them. Mr. Meaty surprisingly went on for 2 whole seasons, having about 30 episodes in total. I wasn't a teenager quite yet at the time the show was out, but I was like 11, I think. So seeing these characters work in a mall at a janky fast food joint was really interesting. I was like, whoa, is this what being a teenager is all about?
You are so nice. Most people are like so mean these days, you know?
Oh, yeah, well.
One of the most cursed episodes I can remember is where Josh is upset that he can't get a girlfriend, so Parker scientifically creates one using girl DNA and meat. The end result is absolutely horrifying. I can't find the episode online, and there's only screenshots, unfortunately, but maybe now that I think about it, it's for the best. I don't think there's one thing that's normal about this show. Every character's face is all cursed and constantly has a dopey expression. Like they're always going, duh, and their voices are really wacky. I don't know, man. The show isn't exactly deep, so I can't give a deep analysis on it. I like the episode where Josh and Parker get a video camera and try to make a horror movie. It's super cheap and obviously going terribly, just like any group of friends who try to make a video. It's an absolute train wreck, but they feel like they're making a masterpiece.
Go wait by the girls' washroom and scare the first girl that comes in. Oh, that's awesome.
They eventually run into a vegetarian who's upset that they're playing with meat, and then their movie quickly turns into a Blair Witch found footage kind of thing while they get hunted down.
Parker?
Mr. Meaty was a very interesting experiment with an even more interesting life cycle. It was tailored for teenagers, but most teenagers weren't watching Nickelodeon. They were watching Family Guy or whatever. Now, kids were definitely watching Nickelodeon, but if you were too young, you may have been turned off or even frightened by what you were seeing. And rightfully so. And while yeah, on the surface, Mr. Meaty is strange and unattractive to look at, it actually perfectly encaptures teenage life. It's strange and unattractive. Upon reviewing as an adult, I actually found it way more interesting and funny, mainly because I've already been a teenager and went through mostly everything the characters in Mr. Meaty went through, so it actually manages to be relatable, and the weird cursedness of the show is honestly the glue that holds it together.
Call me.
Oh great, more garbage. H2O, just add water. Listen, if you grew up with this show and liked it, I'm sorry. For you had a bad childhood. TV is the devil. I mean, am I being too mean here? This show is genuinely nothing. It's so boring and scenes just drag on with characters just yapping. I've never met a single girl who said, oh man, I loved H2O, just add water when I was a kid. That was my childhood. So here we follow girls dealing with everyday teenage problems. But, they also have mermaid powers. That's the twist. But it doesn't really matter. They barely use their stupid mermaid powers or do anything mermaid-like. They spend most of their time on land and nothing ever happens. It's not funny, it's not dramatic, but they do have Aussie accents.
What is wrong with you? He's hot. You have got no taste.
Okay, that gives it some points. Apart from that though, we've kind of reached a bit of a problem here. See, around this time I started to really grow out of Nickelodeon. I just wasn't watching TV as a whole. YouTube was becoming more and more prominent, and because of that, internet videos took up most of my free time now. Which, coincidentally and ironically, transitions perfectly into our next show.
In 5, 4, 3.
Okay, remember how I just said I grew out of Nickelodeon? Well, whenever Megan from Drake and Josh got her own TV show, I couldn't not watch it. Thus, in 2007, the world would see iCarly.
Fun with bacon!
Carly Shay, along with her best friends Sam and Freddie, host an online internet show called iCarly.
Please enjoy this word from our Spencer.
Diphthong.
Yeah, it's all just LOL epic randomness, but it was the late 2000s, early 2010s. That was the internet at the time, so surprisingly the show didn't feel too out of place. The web show, however, is just a minor player. The meat of the show has the gang dealing with everyday teenage scenarios. Are you surprised at this point? When I was younger, I really loved this show. Mainly because, again, I was so addicted to YouTube at this point that seeing a TV show actively mention the internet and viral videos really spoke to me. I should have gone outside more.
I may be an idiot, but I'm not stupid.
I mean, there's not much else to really talk about. The comedy, characters, writing, plots, they all feel like they're from Drake and Josh. iCarly is to Drake and Josh as American Dad is to Family Guy. I hope that explains it. What blew my mind though was when they did the crossover episode with Fred, the #1 most subscribed and biggest YouTuber at the time.
It's so big, or it could be really terrifying. What am I gonna do?
Man, I felt so cool. I was like, I watched this guy years before his TV appearance. I just wish they released the unaired episode featuring Niga, or as we all accidentally called him back in the day, Nick. Yeah, I mean, that's about it. It's a pretty fun show, and in my opinion, the last real golden era Nickelodeon sitcom. Because after this show, Nick sitcoms would just get worse and worse in terms of quality. Or I just grew up, I don't know. I'd also be remiss to mention Jeanette McCurdy. She also had a very terrible experience under the Nickelodeon umbrella, although it was more just child acting as a whole. There's a whole book on it you can read, so yeah, I'll leave it at that.
I never felt like
It's just Jordan. It's just Jordan. Bro, I'll be honest, I don't remember anything about this show off the top of my head, but I always remember this song being so damn catchy. Just Jordan follows a young teenager named Jordan who gets into shenanigans with his friends. The show stars Lil JJ, you know, that Lil JJ. From Just Jordan.
And your grandfather's a Republican, which I respect, by the way. Not many of us in this neighborhood.
I've pretty much reached the point where I'm watching these shows for the first time without the nostalgia goggles. Just Jordan is pretty good. It's funny and has that classic Nickelodeon feel.
I beat my mama. I'ma tell the world I beat my mama. Freeze. I beat my mama? That just doesn't sound right.
It ran for 1 season with 30 episodes. And unfortunately, I have just about as much to say for the next show. Oh snap, is True Jackson VP. Who's she the VP of? Corey in the house?
If you have any questions about the job, my door is always open.
Really?
No.
We follow the beautiful and talented Keke Palmer, who I'm totally not in love with, working as the vice president for a fashion company. But wait, she's just a teenager. Where then, say it with me now, shenanigans ensues.
What are you talking about? I haven't lost a game since I was 8.
That's because we've all been letting you win.
You said what now?
I mean, what do you want me to say? We've covered about 10 plus years of Nickelodeon teenage sitcoms at this point. It's all kind of the same thing. So if you love Keke Palmer, like me, I mean some people, then this will make you have a great fun time, I guess.
So that's how I became the youngest executive in the history of Mad Style.
And I'm not even gonna give the next show a title card, Dance on Sunset. I have never even heard of this before working on this video. I guess it was like a dance competition show? Okay, who needs SpongeBob and Fairly Odd Parents when we got people breaking it down? God, whatever. But on that note, ends the run of TeenNick. On February 1st, 2009, TeenNick would silently just disappear, never to be seen again. At least in the form of the weekend programming block, because on September 28th that same year, Nickelodeon would create the TeenNick channel, running mature shows 24/7. So, you know, it never really went anywhere. Sitcoms and mature programs would continue to run, probably to this day. I don't know, I don't have TV. There's also more Nickelodeon sitcoms, but for this video in particular, it was only meant to cover Snick and TeenNick. So no Victorious, no Big Time Rush, yet. But yeah, Snick and TeenNick, a couple hours of feeling like a teenager, growing up and seeing what TV and life was going to be like. Some shows were definitely hits, while others were kinda misses. It's weird these shows aired on the weekend, the time where you're most supposed to feel like a kid. But watching these shows really felt like jumping into a time machine and traveling back to the 2000s. Growing up isn't easy. But if these shows taught us anything, it's that maybe sometimes growing up is mandatory, but being an adult, well, that's optional.